Alabama crossed the early signing day finish line with the number 2 ranked class in America. But if you think Nick Saban is finished, think again. Bama already landed the number 2 ranked defensive lineman in the transfer portal, LT Overton, and there's at least 1 or 2 more that Bama is hoping to land from the high school level before the 2024 cycle ends. So in this video, I got Bama insider Andrew Bone on today's show to break down Zaquan Mincy's recruitment. We'll talk a little transfer portal strategy, and I want to get his thoughts on number 1 QB Bryce Underwood, as we're just about 12 days out from him making a big decision. But first, Bama fans, hit that subscribe button for me. We talk recruiting 365 days out of the year. We want you to be a part of it, so hit subscribe, please. All right, let's bring on Andrew Bone from BamaOnline. Now, 4-star safety Zaquan Mincy, the number 48 overall prospect in the 24 cycle, is set to announce at the All-American Bowl on January 6th. Florida State, Miami, all fighting to keep him in state. But Bone, what are your sources saying about Bama's chances here?
Well, they're very realistic. I think that Alabama's done a really good job, or did a really good job up until the early signing period with Zaquan Mincy. Developed a really strong relationship with him and his family, led by Travaris Robinson, T-Rob. Alabama signed 6 defensive backs during the early signing period, but they certainly would love to add a 7th. I mean, this is a kid that they have loved for a long time. He visited back during the summer. They brought him back for an official visit in October. He was supposed to come back for another unofficial visit in November, but his high school state playoffs kind of got in the way with that, so wasn't able to make it back. But Nick Saban had an in-home visit with him during December, and things went really well. And with all the things that are kind of going on in Florida with the loss of Corey Raymond, the defensive backs coach, I think that opened the door even more for Alabama, because it certainly looked like an Alabama-Florida battle really since the summer, but then sort of shifted a little bit towards Miami, and it's been really those 3 schools for the last several months, and it seems like each side doesn't know exactly what Mincy is going to do just yet. They feel like it could be Alabama, Alabama, Miami, or Alabama, Florida. I think the one common denominator that we keep hearing is Alabama, though. They're still in that race, and I think that they've got a really good chance to add him here in the next week. Let's not say good chance. They've got a chance. Because we know that he has signed his letter of intent, and we'll see which one ends up winning him out on January 6th.
I talked to a lot of insiders, and I agree with you. I think the common denominator is Alabama. A lot of people feel like it's Miami and Bama, or it's Florida and Bama. I think Florida State, probably the one in-state school, maybe on the outside looking in, but I do think Bama has a pretty good shot come January 6th, but it's very much up in the air. You're right. Nobody truly knows. Maybe the recruiting experts in the comment section know. They usually do. You guys are the real experts. Let me know, where do you guys think Zaquan Mincy is going? Will he stay in state, or is he going to Bama? Comment section below. All right. There's another high school recruit still on the radar, and that is top 200 running back Daniel Hill out of the state of Mississippi, and it's South Carolina, Mississippi State, Alabama. Those are kind of the main teams there. But Andrew, how big of a priority is Hill after Bama flipped Kevin Riley from Miami?
Well, Alabama went into this recruiting cycle wanting to sign 2 running backs, and Kevin Riley was a big flip for them. He was one of their top guys for a long time. But Daniel Hill's been in that discussion, for more than a year. He's visited Alabama probably more than any other running back, including Kevin Riley, who lives in Tuscaloosa. I mean, this is a kid that has, is very familiar with the program. His family's been, very adamant that they would like to see him at Alabama. But Mississippi State, even though they weren't really a contender for him throughout the entire recruiting process, they added a new coaching staff. Jeff Levy did a good job of getting him on campus on that final weekend and hosting him for an official visit. So Mississippi State has certainly made a big run at him. So we'll see kind of what happens on the 6th. The one thing about Zaquan Mincy and Daniel Hill throughout these last couple of weeks is nothing has leaked. We usually hear, there's one side that usually says, hey, he's not coming here. It's going to be one of those two schools, or it's going to be that other program. It hasn't leaked at all, with either one of those prospects. So it's been pretty impressive in that regard. But Alabama would certainly held a spot for Daniel Hill all the way until the end. They let him know that he's wanted, that they would really like to add him to the class. So it's not a situation where he's definitely going to Mississippi State, or he's definitely going to or potentially South Carolina. Alabama held a spot all the way until the end, and they let him know that.
Let's talk transfer portal for a second. And does Zaquan Mincy have any effect on Alabama's transfer portal needs? Because I see Domani Jackson, a former 5-star DB that signed with USC, he's showing interest. So how does Zaquan Mincy factor in with portal priority?
Yeah, I think Alabama would, still be very open to taking Domani Jackson. I think there's certainly some strong conversations that are happening there, and they would love to add him. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen this week with Alabama being out at the Rose Bowl, but next week things open back up. I think that there's a chance that we could see a decision from Domani Jackson. It sounds like it's between Alabama and Michigan, but there are some other schools that are involved, as Pete Nikos mentioned the other day with Texas A&M and Texas both showing some interest. But certainly looks like it's going to come down to Alabama and Michigan with Domani. Alabama's pushing hard, as I mentioned. There's a chance that they could lose both of their starting cornerbacks next year with Kool-Aid and potentially Terrion Arnold.
Right.
Neither one of those have made those decisions yet, but if they lose those two guys, they would certainly like somebody to come in ready to play right away.
All right. Now, Zaquan Mincy, he's not the only one that's going to decide on January 6th. There's another big announcement that day. And that comes from number 1 QB in the 2025 class, Bryce Underwood. His final visit was to Alabama. So, Andrew, just want to get your opinion. Who do you view as the team to beat heading into this decision, as we're about 12 days out?
It's tough to say. I think going into before the weekend visit to Alabama, I think it was LSU. I think they were the heavy favorite. Did Alabama do enough to overtake them? I'm not sure about that. I think that he had a really good time. The Alabama staff has pressed hard for him. They really like him. They know that he had a great time in Tuscaloosa. And regardless of the decision on the 6th, I think Alabama is going to continue to recruit him all the way until the end, because we see so many recruitments flip back and forth throughout the entire process. So we'll see what happens. I would probably still lean LSU. Would I be surprised if it's Alabama? No. Would it be surprised if it's Michigan or somebody else? Probably, but I do think it's going to come down to Alabama and LSU, and I'd still give a slight lean to LSU, but I don't know if that's a prediction. I don't know if I can make a prediction just yet, but I would lean towards the Tigers, just because there was just so much confidence coming out of that side prior to the weekend in Tuscaloosa, and it still seems like there's some confidence over there.
Yeah, well, it's a long way to signing day, like you said. He'll make his decision on January 6, 2024, and he will sign in the 2025 class. So about a year until that happens. We'll see what happens. Andrew Bone, BamaOnline, thank you for dropping by today on the Inside Scoop.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.